your time settling in. You've got your yoga mat spread out, and you've got room to reach beyond it if we do any sort of moves. You're not right up against a wall maybe. But of course, starting sitting, you of course can lean against a wall if that is what is most comfortable to you, especially if you're new to yoga and haven't practiced as much yoga with the muscles in your trunk. They get really fatigued, and so you really have to work and condition those. So please support yourself. Have yourself sitting on cushion. Have yourself leaning up against a wall. Have your legs as close to you as feels good, or if you've got them a little bit further away, they don't have to be right up next to you. And you're letting your arms fall wherever. Maybe you want to have your hands on your body, at your heart and your navel. And it's one of those things, too, you can start one way and then change whenever you need to. And especially pay attention to your toes, your feet. You're not letting them get tingly. So if you're sitting in that cross-legged position and it's starting to feel tingly, please rearrange and let yourself settle in, finding that comfortable seat, letting your eyes close. If that is not comfortable to have your eyes closed, then just have a slight gaze a few feet in front of you, not really focus on anything. And all you're doing is paying attention to the breath. So take as much time as you need to unhook from the world, your life, and just be with your breath and yourself right here, right now. The breath is coming in and out of your nose. If it's not comfortable to breathe out of your nose, then breathe out of your mouth, or a combination of your nose and mouth. And when you're ready to start building that 3-part yoga breath, this is where you fill up the lower third of your lungs, then the middle third, then the upper third, and then you release fully, upper, middle, lower. And especially if you're having a hard time not paying attention to your to-do list or what's going on in your life, that paying attention, turning that awareness to that inhale, filling up the lower third, then the middle third, then the upper third, and then releasing fully, upper, middle, lower. See if that can hold your attention for a little while. And when you find yourself not, that's exactly when you're doing yoga right. So you don't chastise yourself. In fact, you congratulate yourself, and you just bring yourself right back to the breath. And you do that over and over, and that's how you get good at it. And that deep, full exchange of breath is what helps to help get the blood oxygenated, to help support you in moving and in just being in your life. Making sure that you're comfortable with your legs. So if you need to rearrange, take time to do that. Press yourself down into your mat. Feel that connection to the floor and then the building that you are in, and then the ground underneath the building you are in. I'm assuming you're in a building. But you're definitely pressing down into your mat to feel that connection, that grounded in, that anchoring in, that rooting in. There's all different turns of phrase. They all mean that, right? That place where you bear down to feel supported. And then on your exhale, lift yourself up out of that place that you just did to feel supported, and stretch yourself into that space around you that you are meant to take up. So think about lifting yourself, the front body lifting into the space in front of you. You're gently pulling down the back body, in order to have that back body support that front body, and still you're breathing full and deep, that 3-part yoga breath. And maybe you want to make it now even fuller and deeper where your whole trunk gets involved, and you think navel, ribs, chest, and exhale fully, chest, ribs, navel. Staying that awareness of you, starting to activate your girdles from the inside. That lower girdle is tilting down with the back body, lifting with the front body. Same with the upper body. The heart is lifting. Those blades are active. You're not squeezing them together, but they're definitely engaged. You might feel this slight stretch on your shoulder, on your collarbone, on the top of your shoulder as you stretch into that space around you. Still breathing full and deep, navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. Let your hands make their way to your heart, and my intention is to keep bringing your awareness to how you are rooting from within, and then you're also rising from within, how you're always doing both. And encourage you to treat yourself with kindness, compassion, and love. If you'd like to add any personal intention, something that you're working on letting go, or maybe bringing more into your life, please take a few moments to breathe full and deep, setting those intentions. And then you can let your eyes stay closed or crack them open. We're just going to reach. Try to keep those girdles engaged so those shoulders stay out of your ears as you lift those arms up above your head. If it's comfortable to bring your hands together, because you don't have to, they don't have to touch, but you're bringing them down through center. The more you keep that both those girdles engaged, especially the upper girdle, as you're doing the whole move, you start to get deep into those nooks and crannies. Third time. And then let yourself unwind from your seated position. If you're sitting up high on something or right up against a wall, take time to come down and then uncross your legs and just let those knees drop side to side, starting to wake up from that seated position. I'm not putting a lot of weight on my limbs. I'm staying on my sitting bones, so I keep lifting my whole front body as I am moving side to side. My legs are pretty far apart. You're in charge of how close or how far apart they are. You're going to get different sensation, whatever. Right? I'm just showing you how it looks, right? You are figuring out what works for you. Inhaling and exhaling. And then back into a comfortable, and I'm also twirling my ankles gently just to get the juices flowing. So come into that comfortable seated position. Your legs don't have to be really close to you. They can be extended a little bit in front of you. I'm going to bring blocks to the side just because I think it feels marvelous. We're going to reach side to side. Keep those shoulders out of your ears, reaching those arms up above your head, and then bringing one arm down. And then just stretching that side body a few times. Inhale and exhale. And you don't have to use blocks. I just love how they bring up the floor, just gives a little bit more support. I'm keeping that front body lifted. I'm pressing down with that back body. We're going to pause with the arms. Just bring them to your side. Now we're just going to change the move a little bit. Now you're going to bring those arms over your head and you're going to twist to one side. I'm going to twist to the right. So my right arm is going to go behind. Left arm is going to go towards right knee, and I'm going to pause. That right arm is going to reach up over my head. I'm going to bring it now to that left knee and then do a gentle a stretch of my back and then unwind and then bring myself up to twist to the other side. So it's the same thing. I'm trying not to complicate this too much. So now the left arm is coming up. I don't want you to, and I'll even change how I'm seated, so that might help too if it's confusing and my words aren't making sense, how you're coming through and doing this twisted move coming to one side, and then staying twisted, and then letting that back arm come up, keeping that girdle engaged, coming to face then the front, and you get this nice cat stretch on your back is what happens. Hopefully you're able to see that. I love this. Is one of my very favorite stretches and moves. You're being careful with your shoulders. If you do have shoulder injuries, you're being very careful that you're not over extending anything. All right, after a few of those, you're going to pause. Your hands are going to be at your heart, your navel, one of each, out to the side. Take a couple breaths. Make sure that you're staying nice and hydrated, taking drinks as you need them. Letting yourself breathe full and deep. And then we're going to come up onto those hands and knees and come back into that child position. So make sure you get that nice, comfortable position for your knees, because we will spend a little bit of time on our knees doing some training in that. And so I want to make sure that you can hang out for the maximum time. You've walked your knees as wide apart as feels good. So yeah, if adding the cushion helps you to maintain and tolerate a little bit more, definitely go for it. Now you'll see me reaching, I'm reaching over these blocks. That's a big shoulder stretch. I don't want you to try it and not like it and keep doing it, right? Just because you see me doing it. I want you to make those smart choices for yourself. I'm not hyperextending my elbows ever as I reach forward. Sometimes I change my mind and I stack one hand on top and just rest my third eye forehead there. Or you can reach your arms back. There's all kinds of variations of child. You're finding the one that feels the best to you. You're letting yourself breathe full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully. Chest, ribs, navel. Stay connected to your breath. Stay connected from that place behind your navel in front of your tail. If you're needing a place to start, that is where I want you to go with your awareness, and then move and radiate from that place. So radiate from that place, that right there behind your navel. All right, bring yourself up to your table, keeping that awareness right there behind your navel. You are pressing both hands down right underneath your shoulders. You've walked your knees right underneath your hips, and you're trying to press as evenly down through all four limbs. See if you can find that place where you feel completely even. Do not hyperextend those elbows. Keep them nice and soft. And then do a few teeny tiny, these are little tiny pelvic tilts. I am just dropping that tail and lifting my hip flexors to find that place of support. And where it is your tail pulled down and your hip flexors pulled up. And then you move through the teeny tiny shoulder scrunches or shoulder shrugs, where you're pulling your blades together and then pulling them apart, and that place of support is pulled apart, and then your cat and cow is right in the middle. Inhale and exhale. So I'm not a yoga teacher that says just go right into cat and cow. I want you to set yourself up for the most fabulous cat and cow that you have ever had. And I'm telling you, if you activate all that stuff I had you activate, I mean, you're going to tell me, oh my gosh, that was the best cat and cow I've ever gone through. Because I think concentrating that move more in that middle back, which gets no flexibility, right, that never gets any space or anyone pays attention to it, that helps to then build more flexibility. And then you're also building, right, that strengthening in the upper and the lower girdle, keeping them nice and supported. All right, after a few cat and cows, you're going to bring the weight off that upper body. Let yourself completely reset. Inhaling and exhaling, holding yourself in that awareness of your trunk, of spreading your hands wide, of keeping that weight towards the top part of your hand. Doing all that is taxing, so then I want you to rest. If you do feel it in your wrists, just gently wind your wrists. You're always being very gentle with those delicate parts of yourself. You're always protecting the delicate parts of yourself. You're always keeping those fingers and then your joints protected. So it's digits, and then, right, then it moves up, right? It just comes up. Your extremities, everything is really vulnerable. Then it comes in, it gets less and less vulnerable, but you're always being careful. All right, back up into that table. You're in that stable table position. Move through a few of those teeny tiny pelvic tilts. Pull those shoulders together so you find that place of support, and it's the front body lifted, the back body pulling down no matter what position you're in. And then bring your awareness to your navel. Your belly button is pointing down, and then bring your awareness to right above it, your heart, which is right between your breasts. It's really not on your right side, right? It's more in the middle. You're trying to keep your heart and your navel pointed to the floor as you press that left leg back and reach that right arm forward to come into that spinal balance. You're balancing on just one arm. If it's too much to balance on just one arm, then bring the other arm down and just press that leg back, keeping your trunk nice and square, keeping those hips square, paying attention. Is your leg floating up there and you have no idea what it's doing? Try to get your left toes and the top of your left knee pointed to the floor. Try to keep pulling that kneecap up into your thigh. And then if you've got that arm reaching forward, pull that right shoulder out of your ear. Inhale and exhale. Now bring that right arm down, and now I want you to bend that left knee and then bring that left knee towards your left arm. You're in that fire hydrant. Try not to dip down on that right side. Stay lifted in this position. You can do a few circles. You can do a few little pulses. Inhale and exhale. And then after a few of those, just press it back for that sweet, sweet, sweet relief. Now remember, it was that left leg, that left hip. Everything comes down. You rest back in your child. Take a complete and total rest. Let yourself breathe full and deep. Keep sending that oxygenated blood deep into those nooks and crannies. The more you stay aware of your breath and the more you get into that deep belly breathing, so you're getting that full exchange, that air is just going, that oxygenated blood is just going to do you more and more good. All right, up into that table. Make sure you've got room. I know I didn't give you any leeway, but I knew you already had room to put your leg out. So just make sure you're not right up against like a couch or something so you can bring that knee in. All right, that right leg comes out. You're keeping that navel and that heart square to the floor. Only lift that opposite limb, which is the left arm, if it so moves you. I mean, just you finding that place of support, pressing down, keeping those hips nice and square. Not letting that right leg just float wherever. You know exactly where the toes are. You know exactly where the top of your right knee is. Inhale and exhale. And then if you did bring that opposite limb, that opposite left arm forward, bring it down, and then swing that right elbow toward, or that right knee towards that right arm. Stay lifted. Try not to dip down too side. It's going to be really tempting to compensate. Try to stay lifted. And some, things can be happening. You can be doing little circles. You can be doing little pulses. Whatever you're doing, you should be feeling this in both butt cheeks. All right, let yourself extend it back and then come down to rest. Inhale and exhale. Let yourself completely reset. Finding that place of stillness with yourself. If you find it difficult, that's okay. Try not to attach too much, stuff around that. Yoga is a great place for you to figure out, your stories and what keeps going around in your head. It helped me get really aware of how I talk to myself, which I did not talk to myself very well, and not many people do. You're not really taught how to do that. You have to teach yourself. And so, yay, I'm so glad you all came to yoga to teach yourself how to do that. All right, we're going to go into a downward dog stretch next. And of course, if you don't like downward dog, you do not have to do downward dog. You can stay in stable table and work on that, activating that trunk, because you need to even do it more before, to come into downward dog. And so if you're feeling too taxed or it's just not your jam, then stay in that stable table. There's always something that you could be doing, even if you can't do like whatever the move is. There's always a way to regress and progress from every move. So here's where you're keeping those elbows nice and protected. You're not hyperextending them. You're never going to hyperextend any elbow ever again, or any knee ever again, I hope. You are finding yourself on the balls of your feet and the balls of your hand. So really your toes, which you can come up on and stretch, because yes, that feels amazing. But I want you to settle into the balls and onto the balls when you find your downward dog, when you find that place of stillness. Keep those knees really, really bent. Keep lifting that navel to right underneath your heart, and keep bringing that heart to right underneath your chin. Inhale and exhale. Keep spreading your shoulder blades apart so they're not squeezed together. It's nice and smooth on your back. And then you're going to decide, do I lift my booty a little bit more and then get my legs underneath me and walk to the front of my space, or do I drop to hands and knees, or maybe I'm already there, and then step up into that forward fold? And then I want you to find yourself in that forward fold position. Use assistance, use blocks, use a chair, use a wall. Play around with coming up on those balls and toes, because yes, stretching onto those toes feels amazing. And then let yourself even come back on those heels and play around with that place in between. You're still lifting that navel. It's almost like you're lifting yourself up out of your lower body. And once you find that solidness with the lower body, let yourself dangle and move however feels good. If you do the weighted with the hands in the elbows, you're being very careful with everything. You're never hyperextending. You're never hurting. Inhale and exhale. Eventually you're going to be done with the swinging. You're going to be back in that forward fold. And then you're going to put the weight in the back body. Inhale halfway, flat back. Really put that weight in the body, in that back body. Lift that front body. Exhale, come to the floor, the forward fold, or into the blocks or the chair. And then inhale halfway, flat back. Your knees can be as bent as they need to be. Exhale, you're coming forward. All right, the next time, if you want to come up in that reverse swan dive, where you reach up in that great big reverse swan dive, please do. But if it's not your gig, come up halfway, hands above your knees, and then press yourself to awkward chair, and then stand coming into mountain. Of course, at any time, you can lift your arms up above your head, coming into as much of a stretch as feels good. But keep that awareness in that lower trunk. Keep dropping that tail and lifting those hip flexors, so the back body's going down, front body's going up as you stretch over that imaginary beach ball. And then your hands are at your heart, navel, one of each, out to the side, breathing full and deep. Stay with your breath. Find that mountain pose, inhaling and exhaling. You are coming off those toes, finding your balls and heels at the tripod. So it's the four corners. It's underneath the big toe on the ball, underneath the pinky toe on the ball. So it's not the actual toe, it's underneath the toe. And then it's the heel, whether you think of each side, the right and left, the inside, outside, or you think of the whole heel like a great big thing, like it's a tripod from there. And you're finding that place of support. All your digits are pointed towards the front of your space. Your knees are nice and soft and not hyperextended. So if you tend to stand in hyperextend mode, stop. I mean, I can't encourage you anymore. The moment you stop doing it, the better your body's going to start healing. So you've always got that nice soft bend. Pull those kneecaps up into your thighs. So activating those kneecaps up into your thighs then activates those thighs, which then you drop that tail. So this is where the pelvis gets involved. You are gently engaging your glute muscles. So it is some muscle engagement, but it's also framework engagement, where you're pulling that back body down, lifting the front body, and then think navel, dimples in the back of your body, solid base. And then navel dimples up. You're light as a feather. You're lifting that heart into the space in front of you. Feel yourself kind of floating. I feel like I'm floating. Your shoulder blades come down. They don't squeeze together, but they're definitely active. And your elbows are nice and soft. You're not hyperextending those elbows as well. Inhaling and exhaling, you are in mountain. This is such a power pose, and the more comfortable you feel in this power pose, the more you're going to be able to claim power. That is already your birthright, right? You're like Superman. That power is your birthright. So please tap into that as much and as often as you can. Finding that place of stability and then also lightness and lift. You're finding that place there, right there behind your navel, right behind your tail if you need a place to start, and then radiate from there. So you're radiating up and you're radiating out and you're radiating to the sides. Inhaling and exhaling. Now, back into that mountain. If you've come off of it, keep those girdles engaged, so you're dropping that back body, lifting that front body, shoulders stay out of your ears as you reach once again over your head. And if this does not feel good, you can always bring your arms up only as high as feels good. So if gently clasping your fingers and making like the steeple is not comfortable, then just keep your arms reaching up next to your head, and like I said, keep those elbows nice and bent. Now remember, you've got that lower girdle engaged, so if you start to feel this in your low back, you don't have those glutes engaged, and it's a gentle squeeze as you pull that pelvis into the place that it goes. And then we're just going to press evenly into both legs and then just gently stretch to the left side. So you're dropping, doesn't matter if you go to the right side, right? We're going to go to both sides. So your arms are clasped or not. If you started clasped and that doesn't feel good, then you can always let them go. You're pressing evenly through both legs. So try to feel this evenly to both legs. Don't let the weight come into one leg more than the other. Keep those girdles engaged. Keep those shoulders out of your ears. And then lift. We're going to pause. Remember which way you went. I led and dropped to the left. So it takes a few moments. Now after I do that, I don't know if you notice this, especially with all that engagement, like I can feel when I relax, it almost feels like I don't know, it feels magical. It feels like my body, like there's still, something going on, and like it feels like it's got a little bit stronger, a little bit more open. It's just amazing to me, that feeling that is produced from those stretches to me, and I really hope that you're feeling it as well. All right, if you have unengaged your mountain, you are going to engage it so you're in that place of support, because that really helps with those low back issues. If you have a lot of low back issues, so right above, your bottom, right above your glutes, it's because you're not really putting, and I did it for years, didn't put the weight in the pelvis, and that is where you need to hold yourself, and that is what alleviates that low back strain. All right, you're lifting, you've got those girdles engaged, you're only bringing your arms to where it feels comfortable, and then keeping that lower girdle engaged, let yourself lean to the other side. So it's a nice big stretch. You're pressing evenly down through navel dimples down, and then you are stretching to that side. So try to stay lifted so you're getting that stretch along both sides. Inhaling and exhaling. Try to keep that top shoulder, whatever shoulder is up towards the sky, try to keep it back no matter what your arms are doing. Inhale and exhale. Remember, keep those knees nice and soft. And don't grip with your toes. I can't believe I haven't said that. All right, lift up into the neutral position to let yourself come down. Inhale and exhale. So you're always trying to keep those toes from not doing any work. It took me a long time, and I'm still training myself because I still find myself using my toes to do gripping, and those toes, that's not what they're made for. Those toes are there strictly to look pretty. They are not there to do all that engagement. So take a couple more breaths, inhaling and exhaling. This is where it would be good to have access to a wall or a chair or something heavy that you can rest your hand on just for that extra balance. We're going to do some standing pigeon. So this is where you're coming into your mountain pose, and I'm going to reach for this wall in front of me, and I'm actually going to step a little bit forward so I've got a little bit more stability. And to start with, I'm going to Keep those knees nice and relaxed. I'm going to bring that right ankle on that left knee and then sit back in that flying pigeon. So you're trying to get your lower body down as low as feels good, and then you're trying to keep that right knee, keep that right leg active. Try to keep opening that right hip. Inhaling. This is why it's great to have a wall or a chair, because that helps you keep that upper body lifted as you put the weight in the back body. But if you're feeling like a rock star and you want to have both arms off, please, I want you to challenge yourself. But you don't have to. That's what I'm saying. You can have a marvelous yoga experience with all props. All right, now remember, if you did different than left leg standing, right knee bent, then remember that. We're coming up. You know I love to pause. Notice how the body feels, like how the body settles back into that place it was before. And it doesn't go back to that place it was before because it's forever changed, right? You have changed it with that pose. All right, set yourself up for success. I better stay this way because I'll forget which leg. The right leg is what I'm going to stay balanced on. I've got my left arm on that wall. I'm going to bend that left knee and then sit back, right? I'm putting all that weight in that back body, and I'm staying lifted with that whole upper body. You don't have to get super far down for this to be like a super effective stretch, and hopefully you feel it as you put the weight in that back body, especially that tail, and then you pull away from it. You feel that strengthening in that low back. This is exactly where I got a lot of my strengthening. All right, we're going to challenge ourselves for a couple more breaths. We've been here for a little bit. It's all about the challenge. Take another inhale and then exhale. Lift yourself up. Find that reset. Back with both feet on the floor, hands at your navel, your heart, one of each, out to the side. Notice how you feel. And then staying facing the long edge of your space. If you're not, you're coming to face the long edge. Let your legs extend. Keep pulling that back body down. Keep lifting that front body no matter what position you're in. Try to find that place in between. I want you to always feel heavy and light. And you're like, but I don't ever want to feel like heavy. I'm like, I know, but you really need to. It's going to save your life. All right, let those legs stretch out. I'm going to start with the right toes going to the short edge of the space. So I'm going to externally rotate that right leg and bend that knee to come into warrior two. And then I'm going to internally rotate that left leg. I've got my legs on railroad tracks or a tightrope. Sometimes there's a line in your mat. You're trying to line up your right front heel with your back left arch. So you see what you're doing? It's like you're doing all this magic in your body. You're externally rotating. So you're moving this front leg. It's moving up and away, and this one is coming forward. Keep lifting those kneecaps. Remember those toes not doing any work. Try to find that place between the right leg and the left leg. You're holding yourself in your lower, in that lower girdle, and actually both girdles, but really put that weight in that lower body, and then we're going to hinge over that right leg. It can be limb to limb, or it can be right arm down, and then find that beautiful stretch into that stretch over your head, or you're reaching up, and then you're coming up to go into the beautiful warrior two. And then that back arm, keep those girdles engaged, keep lifting that front body, that back arm, gently clasp that elbow or that wrist, and you lengthen that by lifting that trunk, and then keep that girdle engaged. Let yourself hinge into your triangle. Stay with your breath. Keep bringing that back body down. Keep lifting that front body back to upright now. Bend your legs and bring yourself back into a neutral position, into mountain, or some approximation of mountain. Breathing full and deep. You don't have to actually engage. Just notice. It feels like I'm standing on stairs before I do the other side. That's what it feels like. I've got this leg up on a step, and like, it's just amazing.
All right, same thing, other side. Keep those kneecaps pulled up into your thighs. So you're always protecting yourself. And then I'm just going to toe heel out a little bit. Burr, 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 burr. Maybe you make those noises. And then you're externally rotating the left. So you're keeping the weight in your trunk, and then you're externally rotating the limb, keeping the knee bent, and then you're internally rotating the back leg, and you're finding that place of support. And you're right in the middle of those legs, coming into your warrior two. Remember, toes doing no work. So bring the weight to the back body. It's almost like I love to play around with. Almost falling back. And then coming a little bit forward. I mean, like it's like a little subtle move. But that's how I get my kicks. All right, you're going to hinge. The hinge is what's all about. Coming into that side angle. Take your time. Breathing full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully. Chest, ribs, navel. Up to your warrior two. Flip that front palm, that left palm. Reach into your reverse warrior. Stay with the active girdles. Right hand reaches for that left wrist, and you gently lengthening that. You're still keeping your legs rotated internally and externally. That never changes. And then you are hinging into your triangle. Keep with that lift. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful. And then you're bringing yourself up. Your hands are coming to where it feels supported. And you are walking those legs into that place. Now it feels like I'm standing right on the even floor. I feel my legs feel completely even. All right, inhale and exhale. Let's come down from the back of your space. If you want to walk down and go right to a child, you can. If you want to come out to a downward dog for a couple breaths, inhaling and exhaling. If you do come to a downward dog, make sure you rest in child for a few breaths, staying with your breath, making sure you're protecting yourself, and then find your way onto your back.
All right, once you settle on your back, take your time moving however feels good to you, doing some windshield wipers, pressing up in a bridge. If you really feel open, you can always do some wheels. This is also a great time for happy baby. And doing some twists. Make sure you stabilize your heart and twist your navel away in order to help protect that low back. And then when you're done moving, however you move, and there's no rush, and like it doesn't even have to be a yoga pose, right? It can be anything that makes you feel better. Once you're done moving in the way that feels better, please spend 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes in relaxation or meditation, whether you're laying out on your back, closing your eyes, letting yourself just integrate, or you're sitting, whether it's supported or not. You know, it can also be partly supported, partly not, so you can start to train those muscles. Take some time in order for that to happen, because that's where the magic happens. And if you don't spend the time to integrate, right, you're just missing that extra little bit. That's awesome. So thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste. Take care of yourself. Bye.